Hello, Brian here from Underlords Universe. This is a place where I usually get together with one or two of my colleagues to discuss the things that inspire us to be creative in our own right. We're part of a project called Underlords of the Overworld, and more on that in a little bit. I just wanted to do another solo video here today because I've been prepping for a guest appearance with my brother on the Cretin Classics channel. We've been asked to do a top 12 Judas Priest um, episode, top 12 songs from Judas Priest, and we know we're lifelong fans of Judas Priest. So, in prepping for that, I had read this book, Judas Priest Turbo Till Now, which is the follow-up to the book Judas Priest Decade of Domination. This book follows the first 10 years, first 9 albums of the band's career. Did a little video on that yesterday. I'm throwing one up on the sequel today, Turbo Till Now. This follows the second 9 studio albums of Judas Priest. I'd gone back and listened to all of the albums recently, rated them. Brent and I are going to be doing a rating episode on that at some point down the road. But like I said, we're kind of prepping for this episode with Cretin Classics and trying to narrow down the top 12 songs is kind of a chore. Doing some homework with Martin Popoff's books is a really great way to help supplement the listening experience. So I'm a big fan of Martin Popoff's books, and this is no different. So anyway, I'm not going to go through a uh, huge list of points about it, but I do have a few things to say. First of all, just to hit what albums are covered in this book, Turbo Till Now. It is obviously Turbo. Ram It Down, just follows that. Painkiller, Jugulator, Demolition, Angel of Retribution, Nostradamus. And then, let's see, we get Redeemer of Souls. Finally, for this book, Firepower. I know the title of the book is Turbo Till Now, and last year they put out Invincible Shield, but the book predates the release of Invincible Shield, so it doesn't include anything on that. So the title's slightly out of date at this point, but that's okay. We can forgive that. If you've read Martin Popoff's books, he focuses on the music, the albums, the art. He doesn't dwell on a lot of band drama. He provides a little bit sometimes for context. He makes a couple references here and there. Um, Rob's drug addictions, which are well documented. Rob himself has been public about that stuff. There's a tragic suicide situation that involves the band and a lawsuit that's addressed along the way. Rob has another personal story regarding that with regarding a similar kind of situation, a dramatic situation with Rob. We just briefly touched on in Martin's book, but it's not the focal point. It's just enough to provide the context for what the band is dealing with, what the band is trying to do professionally and artistically. So now Martin, he's a great rock journalist, and he's a really good writer. He's entertaining to read, and that's what I want to kind of focus on with this book here. So, for example, if you'll indulge me for a moment here, he says, as far as the Turbo album itself, there's just a few little anecdotes I just thought I'd share, because if you've never read Martin Popoff's books and you're a music fan, you should really try to do this. So on the Turbo record, of course, let's see, he's referring to the song "Rock You All Around the World," which is off Turbo. Ridiculous title, but he says, but then there's that ganged and sing-songy chorus, which includes the salvo, "We're gonna rock, we're gonna roll," and a generational prediction of metal might from Rob that sounds like a Pepsi commercial. And I just laughed out loud at that. I thought that's just, I mean, because it's so spot on. Like you could really hear that song being used in a Pepsi commercial. Um, okay. There's a few others here I just have to point to. Let's see, page 59. Yes, in the grab my prop here. On the Painkiller album, the song A Touch of Evil, which I think is a fantastic track. Um, excuse me, he says, sorry, he says, one of the album's key tracks comes next, A Touch of Evil, carrying within it a touch of hair metal, which isn't surprising given that 1990 was pretty much the zenith of that poofy movement. And I thought, I mean, he just has a way with words of describing what you're listening to and describing the era, which is just fun. I love that. Which was pretty much the zenith of that poofy movement. And to that point, I mean, look at the picture of Ken Downing on the back cover. I mean, you can't really deny it was a poofy movement. I mean, it's just what the era kind of was. Um, also when Rob left the band and he was replaced by Tim Owens, I remember that era so vividly in certain ways. Let's see, page 99. I remember that reading an interview. I don't remember if it was Metal Edge magazine or something to that effect, but I remember reading an interview with Glenn Tipton, and Glenn, dramatically talking about how Tim Owens can split his vocal cords in two. He's so talented. And I thought to myself, I remember reading that, decades ago and thinking, how stupid is that? That just sounds made up. I mean, like, why would you need to make that? I mean, who splits their vocal cords in two? I mean, maybe there's somebody out there with knowledge of how the voice works that maybe that's true. I don't know. It just sounded ridiculous to me. Um, if you know better, please comment down below. But he said this. So this is the funny thing. In reading this book, he actually he actually has the quote that I remembered from decades ago, and I'm like, yes, finally I have that. I have that because I don't have that magazine from decades ago, but I knew that I read it somewhere, and here it is. Popoff has it in the book. He says, "Have a close listen to it." Now he's talking about the song Bullet Train. Have a close listen to it, and you think there are two vocals. It's one vocal, no effect. He splits his voice. We were putting the vocals down, looking around the mixing board to see if there was an effect on somewhere. It was Tim's natural voice split into two. Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure. Last thing, and this made me laugh out loud as well. And this gets back to just a great, it was something that Popoff does really, really well. Especially when he's kind of, you know, having a dig at something a little bit. So on the Angel of Retribution album, Rob's return to the band. Ah, there it is. Um, it has a controversial tune. I mean, it's a really good record, but there's a term, or excuse me, a song called Loch Ness on here, and it's not Loch Ness, it's Loch Ness, which that always drove me nuts. I don't think Martin mentioned that in the book. But you can see in the Loch Ness as opposed to Loch Ness, which would be Lake Ness, name of the lake. But anyway, it's like it's like an epic 13-minute whatever dirge of sorts. And what is it? Where does he say this? Oh, he says, let me see. It's paragraph 2. Yes. He says, so he's kind of wrapping up, the references to the album. So he says, two ballads, a hard rocker and a half, and then there's Revolution, the bravest thing on the album, not associated with the banality of an ode to a swimming lizard. Again, I mean, the banality of an ode to a swimming lizard. And I guess that is what the song Loch Ness is. It actually is. It is an ode to a swimming lizard. And nobody put it like that before Martin Popoff. So thank you, Martin Popoff, for putting it that way. Um, really fun read. Uh, both these volumes, great ways to relive and to re-listen to classic albums, classic catalogs that I'm really familiar with. I mean, I know the Priest songs pretty much inside and out from every album, and reading Martin Popoff's books just helps to add additional context and add additional meaning to those old albums, and it makes listening to that stuff all kind of fresh again. So anyway, like I said, I'm part of a longer, a bigger project called the Underlords of the Overworld. We actually write music, and some of it's instrumental, some of it is not, some of it is kind of character oriented. It's basically uh, in a sense, it's kind of supplemented or a supplement to a literary universe that is written by our bass player who writes fiction under the name H. Prescott Lemon. So he's got two series, as Underlords of the Overworld and OAO. These can be read without listening to the music. The music can be listened to without reading the books. But it's just kind of this weird thing that's grown over time that we do. We're on Bandcamp, Spotify, etc. The books can be found on Amazon.com. If you're interested in supporting independent artists, that's a cool way to do it, and we appreciate anybody who does. If you found this video kind of interesting, if you're a fan of Martin Popoff's books, make a comment below, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. We don't really see ourselves as YouTubers per se. We're just kind of getting our thoughts out on YouTube and kind of spreading the word of what we do. So at any rate, I'm really looking forward to being on the Cretin Classics episode doing the top 12 Judas Priest songs. And if you haven't checked out Cretin Classics, I'll put a link down below for that as well. Please check his channel out. Excuse me. And that's about it for now. So until next time, take care.